All right, so I should probably start off this video with the introduction. Hello, my name is Emi Yoon, and that's my middle and last name. Some people know it as Emi Yoon, but it is Emi Yoon. It's just spelled that way. And a little bit about me is that I am a Seattle-based artist and designer and a huge car enthusiast. I've been into cars for as long as I can remember. I've been doing art and design for as long as I can remember. And aside from that, I like to cook and drink and eat food and drink. I don't know if I'm supposed to be saying that. So growing up, I enjoyed making things, building things, and still till this day, I still love building and making things, customizing things. And the nice thing about that is that when you do that, you kind of make it your own. And sometimes, in some cases, it becomes a one-off where it's one of a kind and you're the only one with it. And I kind of love that, the fact that I'm the only one with a certain product or item or thing. And so, like, even when I was younger, I would make my own toys. I would chop up old toys that I had and then take them apart, super glue them into something completely different and new. And there was a lot of times that I would make my own toys out of paper and school glue. And some people, you're going to hear that and be like, how do you make toys out of paper and school glue? And what I would do is kind of like the basics of like paper mache. So I would make toy cars, robots, and they were pretty legit. I liked them, and some people actually liked it a lot, to the point where some of them actually got stolen, which sucked. So as I continued to, make and build things, I kind of wanted to start this YouTube to share those ideas, the process, the DIYs, and basically the journey with you. And one of the projects I've been working on for a really long time is my car. And people have been asking me, where do you get this? Where do you get that? Or how did you make it? And by that, they mean some car parts that I have built for my car. And so I kind of wanted to focus on that for the next couple weeks with a new project I've been getting into. So when it comes to a car, any car builder or anyone that works on a car, you got to start off with some sort of foundation. So my foundation started off as a 2004 Acura RSX Type S. It was basically stock when I first got it, and I gave it a name of Isabel, or Project Isabel. I don't know if a lot of people give their cars names, but that it was something I had done, and that name kind of stuck through with this build. And one thing about that name and this build and this car is that it has a really deep sentimental value to me. So hence why I had kept it so long. Until this day, I still have it, and I am going to work on it. I think came around 2015 was when I had first laid eyes on a Pandem Rocket Bunny version 1 wide body kit for the FRS BRZ GT86. And I fell in love with that wide body kit. And I had hoped that there was something on the market for the RSX, but unfortunately there was nothing similar to that at that time, and I think still till this day. So I decided I wanted to build my own. And that's kind of where my builds took off after that. Isabel version 2 came when I got a new set of wheels, and the influence off of the Rocket Bunny kit, and also a whole handful of hate from the car community. I won't get too much into the actual build process or the stories behind each build, but the years after that, I ended up changing up the build every year. Version 2, and then version 3. And version 3 is something I did a little bit different, because instead of doing a bolt-on wide body or fender kit, I ended up welding on my wide body. So then came version 4 after that. And then from there, I did different variations of the version 4, which was, I think there was version 4, There was the version 4 Type 2 Noir, and then also version 4 Type 2 Noir Mode Final. Each build, in most cases, like say version 2, version 3, version 4, each build was different with the wide body kit that I had built. But probably the more bigger differences would have been the color, which were all vinyl wrapped. And I had kind of learned how to vinyl wrap myself, although I did get tips from my friend Andre on how to vinyl wrap. So again, I don't want to get too much into the actual build processes, but if you are interested, I do have my build processes for each build on my Instagram, and you can check that out. I will have a link below in the description. So as I start getting into the new build, which will be the Isabel version 5, and I gave it the name of Unicorn, which is basically my last name plus Icorn. Kind of wanted to review the current state of the car, so which will be the foundation for this new build. I'm going to take you back to pre-COVID me and explain and kind of just give you a walk around the car. So while we're outside, we'll start on the exterior of the car, and you're going to probably hear me saying I did, me, a lot. Almost the whole car I did myself, building the custom parts to, installing things and stuff. But as we go on, I will explain little by little. There are some stuff I did not do. I do want to start with the color of the car. It's my 4th vinyl wrap that I did myself. And it's the 3M 1080 series Galaxy Black. You see why they call it Galaxy Black. Yeah, so the car's fully wrapped in that color. I actually might keep it that color. I actually fell in love with it. It's really nice. And then before we get to the big part of the car, which is the wide body kit or the over fenders, I'll explain that in a little bit. That's the one thing that everyone has questions about. So we'll start with, say, like the hood. The hood vents I custom built. They are carbon fiber, or yeah, they're still carbon fiber. I just painted over them because the clear coat or the glaze on the carbon fiber, they started to deteriorate, and I did not want to get them re-cleared. So as you can see, they are not perfect. I still have to go back and clean all this stuff up, make it more smoother, but for the time being it does its job, like it says right here. The headlights I custom retrofitted, dual projector, DRLs, and then I got my front bumper, which is not a legit Mugen front bumper, and I do want to support legit parts, but first off, I could not find a legit front end for the 0506, so I could not get it. So I ended up getting a replica Mugen style front bumper, which was for the 02 to 04. I ended up having to cut that apart and filling it so that the headlights would fit like this area, and then all those the dips that go underneath the headlight. The license plate bracket I custom built, CNC cut, and then folded with the aluminum plates. And then you have my carbon fiber front lip that I custom built. The reason why I built this lip was because the bumper itself wasn't low enough, and I wanted it lower, so that is a full carbon fiber front lip. And then to complement that, I do have an aluminum composite panel that I used. I CNC cut that to build a splitter, which is currently not chassis mounted, and I know that's dangerous, but I will be chassis mounting that, or probably just building a new splitter. And then to go with that, I do have carbon fiber winglets that I also built. Yes, everything I built. And then this is probably one of my favorite pieces of the front bumper, which is the canards. They are carbon fiber, and the reason why is they're really light. They're
probably the lightest piece of carbon fiber I have on the car. At the same time, they are the sturdiest and the thickest pieces of carbon fiber I have on the car. So that's the front end. I'll go with the wheels as well while I'm here. The wheels are SSR Gartmeyer. I originally picked these up for $850 on eBay, and I ended up dropping about another $900. Bought some barrels and new lips, and I rebuilt them. The fronts are 18 by 9.5, -32 offset and the rears are 18 by 12s with a -29 offset and 25mm spacers. And then my fronts, I do have what they say is a big brake kit, but they're not that big. They're only like maybe 1 inch bigger than the stock Type S brakes. Willwood Dynalite 4-piston, but I like them. They work. They look pretty good. I do wish they were bigger. And then the side splitters, we'll do that. I do have these little things right here. A buddy of mine had them, I think. I forgot what car it was for. He used to drive a Mazda Speed 3, but I don't think it was for that car. He ended up giving it to me. I ended up putting them on just so I could get the car to look lower, even though it is pretty low. And same material, the aluminum composite for the side splitters, and then the winglet to attach to the rear fender. And that is actually a Rocket Bunny style that I took influence from, and probably like my 10th one that I've built. We'll go to the rear. Starting with the trunk, I did have a big wing on here. Ended up selling it so I could fund version 5. So I'm actually finally selling the wing. I never wanted to sell the wing because of how much work it took me to make it. But I just got way too good of an offer, and it's just gonna help me build my next project. So thought might as well. Before I did want to get a chance to explain how I built the wing exactly. Everything on the wing is actually I hand built. The wing deck is hand built from carbon fiber. The gurney flap on the wing deck is carbon fiber. The wing deck, actually, it's not 100% carbon fiber. It's almost all carbon fiber, but the surfaces did not come out perfect, so I did have to go in with a little bit of Bondo and fill it. But other than that, the structure and everything of the wing, I did a lot of research before I built it, so it is functional. And the way it's shaped, it's functional. Other than that, the winglets, aluminum composite material. The wing risers are made from carbon fiber with the aluminum composite core. The wing brackets I custom built, cut them with aluminum, welded them together, as well as the mounts. And then just to keep everything stable and sturdy, it does not rock, I do have these steel cables in there just to hold it up. I think that's it. Gotta say goodbye to it. This ducktail I built for version 3. It is sheet metal actually that I welded to the trunk of the car. And to be honest with you, I thought it was cool at the time, but you can see how wavy it is. I hate it. That's all from when I was tack welding it. The heat kind of warped it. So I'll probably be cutting that off in the next couple days. And then I do have my rear diffuser, which is chassis mounted. This is like my 3rd or 4th diffuser I've built, but it's the same material as the splitters, and I thought it was cool at first, but I actually do not like it. So this will be coming off. I might build a new diffuser, I might not. We'll see. So this is my center, what do you call it? Center feed, center through center exhaust. I did custom build that, custom welded everything, the piping and everything. They do have arc tips on them. which were off of my friend's IS250F Sport, and he didn't need them, so he gave them to me. So thank you for that, James. As you can see, there is a third tip on there. I added that because I did not want to reroute any piping when I put in my exhaust cutout. I did end up muffling it, so I ended up drilling a whole bunch of holes. This was a straight pipe, and then it was too loud, so drilled a whole bunch of holes into the piping, and then wrapped it, filled it with the fiberglass and whatnot to make it a lot quieter. But it got too quiet, so I ended up wanting it to be a little bit louder. So now I can control it with the exhaust cutout. So there's not too big of a difference in the sound, and honestly, I don't like the sound of this exhaust setup. So I think it's now on to the over fenders. This is actually my third wide body or over fender kit that I made. It's very similar to the version 2 setup I had back in 2015, except twice as wide. The rears are a little over 150, 160 millimeters, which is over 6 inches. The fronts, I think, are about 3 to 4 inches wide, maybe 4 inches wide. Probably one of the widest wide body kits for this car right now. And I took a lot of inspirations from Pandem, Rocket Bunny, as you can tell by the style of it. And this is not a kit that I bought and cut up and tried to make it fit. I actually built all of this from scratch. They are carbon fiber. So we'll start with the trunk before we get into the actual interior. This is my custom air setup. I am on air suspension, airlift, autopilot V2 manifold, and then I just ended up custom welding, cutting, all the frame work for it. Somewhat of a chassis brace, I guess, if you want to call it that. I do have my compressors hidden underneath that panel, and then just ended up building a X brace for the trunk, which also has a little storage unit. I do hide a lot of stuff in here, legal stuff. So yeah, I just leave like tools and cloths down there just to hide it, but yeah, I need to get that fixed. So I do have my pedals set up. I cut these with the CNC machine that we have at our shop here, my work, and dead pedal, floor plate, and again, I'm sorry the car is messy, but that, yeah. So my center console is all custom. Custom. And then custom. And no, this actually does not work right now. It's not hooked up. I just never got around to hooking it up. But yeah, carbon fiber, and then, oops, carbon fiber. And the reason why I made this whole center console like this was because of this beautiful piece. It is a K-Tune billet shifter, and a lot of people, they tend to hide it in their center console. But when I saw it, I was just like, you can't hide this. It does have a Reiseng Ashiko weighted shift knob, 785 grams, I believe. So it's pretty heavy. It's really nice though, real smooth. And then just so I could have it at a really nice height, I did end up cutting these aluminum plates, folding them to build a riser for the shifter. So if you look at it, it is decently high. So now we come to the engine bay, and just a disclaimer, my car is slow, and I'm sorry it looked fast. It was not. The motor's not, well, I don't want to say it's stock because it does have aftermarket parts and whatnot on it. But I mean, the block, the head, everything is stock. I'll start with the intake. The intake is an AEM intake, and it came with the car when I first got it, and I just never got around to replacing it at all, except for the filter. So that's just been there. But I am going to probably cut that apart to build a new one. And then I do have some panels to cover up some stuff. Never got around to finishing it. I did want to keep my ABS, so I wanted to just cover that up because that is not the prettiest piece. And then eventually a new strut bar will come in, and then some more panels. I do have the remote terminals for my battery because my battery is under my front bumper, or in my front bumper, so it's not really accessible. And also a remote disconnect, or emergency disconnect, whatever you want to call it. I did custom build a radiator cover, carbon fiber, except it just did a really horrible job with you can see like the clear on it. It's just horrible. It's all grainy because dust got on it. K-tune fuel K-tune fuel rail with the pressure gauge, RBC headers with the RBC throttle body adapter. I did have a K-tune 72mm billet throttle body, but to be honest with you, I'm not boosting my car yet, so I honestly have no reason to have that big of a throttle body. I do have K-tune race headers, all burnt out, remote oil filter, and then I do have innovative mount 7585A urethane mounts. I forgot. These are pretty stiff though. I regret getting these. Should have got it a little bit softer. So mounts. I am running a stage 2 clutch, competition clutch, stage 2 clutch with a lightweight flywheel. And that is actually one thing I did not do myself because I have no knowledge of this. I'm still learning, so that's why my engine modifications are very minimal. Yeah, so that one, good friends or neighbor, STS Customs, they ended up putting in for me. They're mainly a European specialist, but I guess being neighbors for 8 years has its benefits. I do have a Blackworks Racing, or Blackworks oil cap, and then one of my favorite pieces, which would be the K-tuned dipstick. It's just a nice piece, except my friends don't understand how I would spend that much money on that little thing. I think that's it for the engine for now. So I guess I could do a quick run through on my suspension setup while I'm at it. The base of my suspension, which would be the coilovers, are BC Racing BR type coilovers. Originally they were the extreme low, and with that I have K-tune tie rods, hard race tie rod ends, Tagiwa steering rack riser, and let's see what else, hard race ball joints, extended ball joints, and then blocks, spherical lower control mount bushing for the front. And one thing I realized is that you do not use inverted tie rod ends for the extreme low coilover mounts. It just really messes up the steering geometry of the car. So if you're going to get the extreme lows, just use the stock or OEM type tie rod ends. If not, then use the standard lower mounts for your coilovers. My coilovers in the front are wrapped with bags by OCD, or yes, OCD. And I think that's it for the front. I do have, I do need new sway bars, but I do have blocks, spherical end links, adjustable. You come to the rear. The rears have the BR type coilovers from BC Racing with universal air. I forgot what the name was for the bags, but yeah, they have the bags, the universal air bags on here. Camber kit. What else? I haven't really done much, I guess. I was too busy building parts for the car that didn't really focus on all the important stuff. But yeah, I think that's about it.
So hopefully I didn't bore you guys too much with that. I did want to apologize if I did say I did or I made a little too much. I do want to say that there were a lot of parts on this car that I did build myself. You might have realized that there aren't a lot of power modifications on this car. And I think the reason for that is, for me at least, when working on a car, I like the aesthetics and visuals of a car. So even in like a racing game, the most enjoyable aspect for me is the car customizations, as to where some people might enjoy the actual racing itself. But please don't get me wrong, I do love engine modifications. I do love, you know, like powerful cars. But at least for now, that is something that's more of my focus, is the aesthetics. And eventually I do really want to get into doing a lot of power modifications, not just for this car, but any other future projects I do work on. So I think that's it for now. I just wanted to give you a walk around of my current foundation that I will be working off of for my next build, and also give you an introduction of myself. If you are interested in my past builds or the progresses, feel free to check me out on IG at emi.yoon. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up. And other than that, if you are interested in the next build, we're going to get started next week. So hit that subscribe button, and also follow me on IG at emi.yoon. So until then, peace.